guys, are you ready for another Fenty review? I have been wearing and testing the Fenty Beauty No Filter Foundation over the last week, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you a demo and an in-depth review on this product. I picked up the lightest shade in the range, 100, so if you want to hear my thoughts then give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. Okay, so I'm sure we all know by now that Rihanna dropped the most amazing range of foundations that could have possibly been dropped ever, and me being the pale girl that I am, I went straight to the lighter shade of the range and got that delivered to my door. I was actually scared that this color might be too light for me, and let me tell you, I have never ever had that thought cross my mind before when it comes to foundations. As I said before, I picked up the shade 100 and this has a neutral undertone. On the Fenty website, the foundation is described as soft matte, long wear, and with a buildable medium to full coverage. It also says that it is an oil-free formula that is made with climate adaptive technology that's resistant to sweat and humidity. It also says that it has a light as air texture that is undetectable on the skin. Now that is quite a lot of claims, so later on in this video I'm going to let you know if it actually stands up to them. As for now, let's jump right in to a demo of the foundation. Before using this foundation, your skin needs to be prepped. It has a soft matte finish, so if your skin is on the drier side, then it needs to be moisturized. I have started off by washing my face and then applying my Gurlique Advanced Day Cream. Now, if you bought the primer, then you can go straight in with that. Otherwise, just use whatever works for you. Today, I'm going to be using the Stila One Step Correct Primer. This one will help counteract any redness on my face and will also help to give me a little bit more moisture. Also, this is a water-based foundation, so make sure that the primer you're using is also water-based rather than silicone. That way, the primer and the foundation will work together. Next, I'm going to be using my Australis Color Click Green Concealer to do some color correcting. Now it's time for foundation. First of all, you need to give it a good shake. It is a very liquidy formula. And then I'm going to pump 2 pumps onto this little foundation palette. This foundation does dry fast, so I'm going to be using a flat top kabuki brush, and I'm just going to work in small sections at a time. So I just like to go over my foundation once I've applied it with a beauty blender, just to get a flawless finish. Sometimes the brush can leave little strokes, so if I go over it with the blender, it just gets rid of those. So here is just a close-up of what the foundation looks like. As you can see, some of my redness is still peeping through, and I have used 4 drops of foundation. 4 pumps, I mean. So the finish of it is definitely a soft matte. It doesn't feel so matte that it's dry and uncomfortable, but it's matte enough that it feels like my skin. It's a very, very lightweight feeling foundation. The coverage is definitely a medium to buildable full. I wouldn't say you can build it up to the most extremely full coverage that there is, but it's definitely enough to cover most of the redness on my face. I would prefer a little more coverage, especially just around this redness here and a few spots on my chin, but instead of piling on more foundation, I'm going to cover those up with concealer. So this is what the foundation looks like once I've finished my makeup. I did end up setting it with a little bit of powder just around my nose and my cheeks. As I said before, this is a matte foundation and it feels really light and it dries down, so it doesn't feel like it needs to be set. Even though I have applied the rest of my makeup and put quite a lot of bronzer on, I still think that this shade might be a touch too light for me. So I am going to go down to Sephora later in the week and see if I can get a sample of the shade 120. 120 is also a neutral shade. There is one in between called 110, but that has a cool undertone. I will leave a note in the description box once I've tried out both shades and let you know which one I think suited me better. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this foundation oxidizing. I personally don't see a big difference with the shade that I have. I feel like when I swatch it on my arm, it does dry down and you can see it is a little darker and a little bit more yellow, but when it's on my face, I really can't see a big difference. I'll insert a swatch here now, and as you can see, the shade on the top has dried down and it does look a little bit deeper than the shade on the bottom, which is fresh out of the bottle. It does say on the Fenty Beauty website that when you are trying to find your shade, to let the foundation dry so that you can get a perfect match. And it also says that if you're having trouble deciding between two shades, to go the lightest one. This is just something you should keep in mind when you're trying to find your shade. Okay, now let's talk about some of the claims. As I said before, this is definitely a soft matte finish foundation, and it does have a buildable medium to full coverage. I really like this because everyone can then customize it to how they like their coverage. If you have dry skin or skin with a lot of texture and acne, I don't think you are going to like this foundation because it is matte and it does stick and cling to those dry patches. During the week when I was trying it out, I had a big pimple on my chin and it clung all around that and just showed that it was a dry patch. I do still get pimples, so I will only be wearing this foundation when I know my skin is looking good and feeling hydrated, because otherwise it's just going to stick to the dryness and those patches. It also claims to be a long wearing foundation, and I do agree with this. It lasted well over 10 hours on me, only breaking up around my nose area. But this happens to me with almost every foundation I wear, so I kind of expected it to happen. It's a spot that I'm constantly touching. I seem to always have a runny nose, so I'm always there with the tissue. Therefore, the foundation is rubbing away easier and quicker. With that being said though, it still looked amazing on my cheeks, my chin, and my forehead. One of the claims I was a little surprised about was that it is resistant to sweat and humidity. Now, I live in Queensland and we just entered spring, and it was a 30-degree day the other day. So I thought, perfect time to test this out. And unfortunately, I cannot agree with that claim. I am a major upper lip sweater, and I was dabbing it and touching it throughout the day, and the foundation did disappear. This isn't a major deal breaker for me when it comes to a foundation though, because I really don't expect a foundation to be sweat proof. Let's be real. Now I'm just going to show you some swatch comparisons of some other foundations in my collection so that you can have a look and get a feel for what this shade looks like. So first of all, we have the Fenty No Filt'R foundation in shade 100. Next we have the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in the shade 110. Here we have MAC Studio Fix Fluid in NW10. This one here is the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation in the shade Porcelain. And this one here is the Too Faced Born This Way in the shade Snow. So as you can see, the Maybelline Fit Me is probably the closest match. It is deeper though. The Fenty foundation is definitely the lightest. They all have quite different undertones, but they all seem to work on me. I think the best match for me is probably the NYX foundation here or the Maybelline. Well, I hope you found this review helpful today, and if you did, then please give it a thumbs up. I know there are 8,000 billion reviews on this foundation, but if you have any other questions, then just leave me a comment and I'll get straight back to you. I've also been posting updates on my Instagram stories, so if you want to see how they go, then come follow me over there. I'll put my name on the screen and it will also be linked in the description box for you. I hope you are having a lovely day. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!